Bringing jobs back and building up the American economy. Those were the central themes tonight in President Biden's second State of the Union address.
He also talked about reaching across the political aisle and working in a bipartisan manner to pass meaningful legislation.
Here's a look at some of the big moments tonight.
And to my Republican friends, if we could work together the last Congress, there's no reason we can't work together and find consensus on important things in this Congress as well. But I think the people sent us a clear message. Fighting for the sake of fighting, power for the sake of power, conflict for the sake of conflict gets us nowhere. But we have more to do. But here at home, inflation is coming down. Here at home, gas prices are down $1.50 from their peak. Food inflation is coming down, not fast enough, but coming down. Inflation has fallen every month for the last 6 months, while take-home pay has gone up. My economic plan is about investing in places and people that have been forgotten. So many of you listening to me tonight, I know you feel it. So many of you felt like you've just simply been forgotten. Amid the economic upheaval of the past 4 decades, too many people have been left behind and treated like they're invisible. But what happened to Tyree and Memphis happens too often. We have to do better. Give law enforcement the real training they need. Hold them to higher standards. Help them succeed in keeping us safe.
And joining us now on set, political reporter Rick Albin. All right, Rick, let's break it down a little bit. I guess overall, do you think the president was hinting at a run in 2024?
Absolutely. I mean, it was his demeanor, it was his delivery, but all those little lines in there, if you will. One of the lines that we heard a lot, we're just getting started and we've got to get this done. So he made reference to some of the things that he believes that they've achieved that are positive, legislative actions and other things, but talked about a whole lot more that he says have to get done. And then the next line is, we can't do it in 2 years. He didn't say that, but that's where he was. And he also did a lot of conversation speaking to his base, but he also had a lot of that populist conversation about, we're going to hold those big corporations accountable. They're not just cheating on their taxes, they're cheating you. Those are the kind of things that kind of have broad appeal to voters in the middle. And then he had some talk for the base out there too, as he admonished Republicans, don't do this, that, or I will stop you. So there was a little bit of all of that. Let me just read this one thing. I brought it up. This is out of 30 pages. Here was a line in the last page where the president said, quote, "We must be the nation we have always been at our best, optimistic, hopeful, forward-looking, a nation that embraces light over darkness, hope over fear, unity over division, and stability over chaos. We must see each other as not as enemies, but as fellow Americans." I mean, if that doesn't sound like a campaign speech, I really don't know what it is.
Yeah, and he delivered that, and of course the rest of the speech in front of that divided Congress.
Right.
What was the reaction like?
Well, the one reaction that was really interesting and he handled really well was when he talked about Social Security. Republicans have a plan to do away with Social Security, and a bunch of Republicans stood up and said, no, we don't. And the president said, oh, you don't? Oh, good, then we don't have to worry about that. We've got that one done. That's pretty quick thinking. I mean, that was a pretty interesting moment, I think, for the president. But I think it's fair to assume not a great deal is going to get done in these next 2 years of meaningful legislation. The race is already on. Yeah. But that's some of what I thought. Let's find out what some of our lawmakers thought out there tonight.
It was, I thought, very disappointing. It was angry. It was divisive. He really missed the things that are important to the people of Michigan. When it comes to the number one issue, it would be inflation. People are paying so much more at the gas pump, groceries, and he really didn't talk about how the excess spending has contributed to that problem.
He hit on about every point. I mean, it was a little frantic paced and kind of covered everything. And, you know, I'm not sure how you tie in some of the cancer moonshot and, you know, police reform and the economy doing okay in his opinion. So it was a little scattershot on that. But, you know, when certainly got a little chippy on the floor when the president very erroneously and wrongly was trying to imply that Republicans were wanting to sunset and end Social Security and Medicare. Completely wrong.
Apparently I wasn't the only one that picked up on that. Yeah, I did a little bit. Anyway, all in all, you know, if you're making book, you think the president's going to run for a second term. But I would quickly hasten to add, there are a lot of things that could happen in the next few weeks. So until he makes an official announcement, I think we still have to be a little bit cautious about what that race is going to look like, because there are a lot of other Democrats that are geared up and ready to run if he doesn't.
Good points. Rick, thank you.
You bet.